this might have been the end of the story for the Wilmington 10. But almost immediately upon their conviction, and really I think while they were still on trial, what occurred was a vigorous, multi-level, and multi-dimensional movement to free them. It was built statewide, at first principally through the network of the United Church of Christ congregations that by that denomination's Commission for Racial Justice. It gained strength through the efforts of the Youth Organization for Black Unity, a radical black nationalist organization, and its newspaper, The African World, which had a national circulation, a circulation of more than 10,000. Many members of this organization were headed in the direction of Marxism, and a good part of the leadership of the Youth Organization for Black Unity would end up in the Communist Workers' Party, 5 of whose members were murdered in Greensboro in November of 1979. It gained national attention through the efforts of the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, which was closely aligned with the Communist Party and had ties with labor unions and forward-looking public officials across the United States. And finally, there was the National Wilmington 10 Defense Committee, headquartered in Washington, D.C., that was able to draw in a variety of congressional staffers and ultimately interested Amnesty International to take up the issue and label the Wilmington 10 prisoners of conscience. Now, what I want to emphasize here is that this was a massive left-led movement that was international in scope. The Youth Organization for Black Unity, the Commission for Racial Justice, the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, all had well-developed critiques of American society and capitalist society and the damage they did to African Americans and other racial and national minorities. They looked upon the case of the Wilmington 10 not as an aberrant miscarriage of justice, but as a typical, though perhaps extreme way the system worked and was designed to work. They worked hard to link the issue of the Wilmington 10 with all manner of local issues facing communities in North Carolina and around the nation, showing the connections between this particular instance of injustice and an educational system that failed African Americans, police forces that regularly traded in brutality, a criminal justice system bent on mass incarceration, an employer class set on exploiting workers more intensely by denying them the protection of a labor union, and a U.S. foreign policy that supported apartheid and colonialism in Southern Africa. And they were effective, drawing in thousands of people to demonstrations, engaging in political education, what used to be called consciousness raising, in community centers, workplaces, and houses of worship around the country, and bringing into the fold all manner of people, including politicians and aspiring politicians and prominent public opinion makers. They finally compelled the president to become involved, and their pressure eventually forced the Fourth Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals to overturn their convictions, not on technicalities, as many people claimed at the time and continue to claim today, but because of substantial prosecutorial and judicial misconduct that resulted in a frame-up. This was a moment in history when the left in African American politics was strong enough to lead a united front. Insider politicians like Joy Johnson and Mickey Mishaw, two state representatives in North Carolina, they flocked to the movement because they recognized its power and because they might have been swept aside had they not. This new type of politics was ascendant until the early 1980s, when for a variety of reasons it was suppressed, to be replaced by a political class that was more in tune with the rules and regulations of the two-party system.